Hi, my name is Ron Verpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor. I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now, and I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a very important concept: why you need to have ice in your shaker every time you shake your cocktails. So this is actually a common mistake that home bartenders make, and I myself personally made this quite often when I was first starting out. So oftentimes I would actually pour my ingredients into the shaker, and I would shake without ice. What's typically known now as a dry shake, because you're not having the ice, which is the quote unquote wet ingredient. So um, there's a couple problems with that. The main one is that, and this is actually the reason why ice is so important. You need to have ice in the shaker because when you do this and then you go like this to seal it, you actually don't get the tightest seal unless you use ice. And that's because the coldness of the ice actually pulls the metal together in order to form an even tighter seal. And that's important because as a home bartender, you're making these drinks at your home in your own kitchen. You're going to be shaking everything. When you don't have a tight seal, when you shake, some of the contents from that ingredient, from that cocktail, which often includes sticky ingredients like simple syrup or honey syrup, other syrups, for example, that ingredient and those different ingredients are going to get all over your kitchen counter. They may even get on yourself, and worst of all, they could end up spilling onto your guests. And that's something you absolutely want to avoid. For me personally, it's okay if it spills on my counter. It's even okay if it spills on myself, but I can't have any cocktail ingredients ending up on my friends and family, the guests that come into my home to enjoy the drinks that I make. Simply can't have that happening. So every time you shake, make sure you have at least one of these, one ice cube, at least some form of ice in there, so that you can get that tighter seal, so that when you go like this and shake the drink, the contents don't splash out, end up on your countertop, on yourself, or on your guests. And the other reason having ice in there is so important is because ice is technically an ingredient in its own way, because when you shake it, it does a couple of different things. One is that because it's a solid in there with a bunch of liquid, it actually causes increased aeration. You'll get some aeration even if you just dry shake, but with the agitation of the solid ice, it'll cause even more aeration, which definitely affects the texture of your drink. And the other thing is that ice is, as you all know, it's frozen water. So when you shake it, some of that ice will naturally melt and end up in liquid form and end up into the cocktail. And what that does is it adds dilution, and that in itself is an ingredient. When I make these recipes, the ingredients are not just the liquors, liqueurs, syrups, fruit juices, things like that. The ingredient also includes ice, because the ice adds some dilution, which will help balance out the cocktail. It'll help make the drink just overall more balanced. It'll dampen the strength and basically the strength of the liquor. So if you make a drink without any dilution, it'll seem overly alcoholic, overly strong. But when you add that dilution, it tampons it down and makes it more palatable, and in my opinion, more balanced as a cocktail. So you have to put ice in there for a couple different ingredients. The main one being that the ice holds the seal together in the shaker. But the other two reasons are also pretty important too. It adds dilution, and when you shake with ice, it affects the texture of the cocktail. So that's why I say when you make shaken drinks, always have at least one, if not more, ice cubes in the shaker for those different reasons. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel below. I do tons of videos on this channel. They're basically in two different categories. One is tutorials on how to make specific cocktails, and the other videos are like this one, where there are different tips. I go over different tips and tricks for how to get into home bartending and how to become the best home bartender that you can be. Thank you. Cheers.